Hello and welcome to Tool Time. The topic for discussion is a value of mine and my goal clarification. Value, belief, goal, action. As I go through this presentation, perhaps I'll cut myself some slack and breathe. So if I feel myself getting upset or disturbed, I might breathe in through my nose for 4, hold for a second, out through my mouth for 8, hold for a second, especially focusing on my belly or diaphragmatic breathing, the way my belly goes in and out as I breathe. Apparently focusing on diaphragmatic breathing, the way my belly goes in and out, can actually reduce nervous tension by 40 to 60%. I commend that to you as something worthy of consideration. In, 2, 3, 4, hold, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, hold. I might do that any time during the day where I'm starting to feel uncomfortable or disturbed, especially, as I said before, focusing on belly or diaphragmatic breathing. Having said all that, discomfort might actually indicate that growth is occurring or is becoming more likely, a bit more possible. Rats. So I might actually sit with this discomfort and just see where it's leading me, maybe open up myself and give myself permission to feel uncomfortable, frustrated, or uncertain. As I go through this presentation and in my day in general, I might choose to do what I can with what I have where I am. Do what I can with what I have where I am. In this presentation, and as a result of it, I ain't got to do nothing. I'm not required to do anything. I might choose to, however. So if I see something in this presentation that I think, oh, no, I'd never do that, I might put it aside and not look at it again, or maybe pick it up a bit later. It's entirely up to me. If I see something in this presentation, I think, hey, I think that could help me, I might actually grab it and run with it. It's entirely up to me. I ain't got to do nothing. A quote taken from someone that's used in this meeting has been changed to make it first person, less absolute and less telling. It is still usually attributed to the person. So rather than saying you or we, it's I or me. Where there are 2 question marks, please consider pausing this presentation and writing your answer in a journal or on a piece of paper, or pondering for a moment. So if I see 2 question marks, I might consider pausing this presentation and writing my answer in my journal or on a piece of paper, or pondering a moment. It's entirely up to me, of course. I ain't got to do nothing. 4 P's of progress are planning, practice, persistence, and patience, especially patience with my precious self and my darling brain and the way that it all works. These 3 major insights were given to me by 2 putts who did these meetings before me. Rest in peace, 2 putts, you are greatly missed. And Charlie actually started these meetings. The first major insight, number 1, take responsibility for your own disturbance and don't cop out by blaming another. Number 2, understand that your past disturbance does not automatically disturb you today. Number 3 of the insights, there is no magic. Change comes from your own hard work and practice. Now, those 3 insights were as they were given to me by 2 putts. I've changed them to make them suggested affirmations, de-absoluted them a bit and made them less telling, because of course I ain't got to do nothing. Number 1, I choose to use my own responsibility for the resolution or acceptance of a disturbance, as I am a bit better able to do this. And of course, acceptance is not approval. So I can accept that something is the case without actually approving of it, liking it, or wanting it to be there. Number 2, I choose to believe and accept that a past disturbance might be left in the past, or might be learnt from when I have developed a bit more skill to do that. Using an ABC, disputing an unhelpful belief, or acceptance, which is an approval, of course, and whatever else I might find helpful. I might choose to move a helpful belief of mine over time a little more toward possible. My remembered past and my imagined future exist solely as electrical impulses in my wonderful head. They exist absolutely nowhere else in the world. Wow, there's a lot of power there that I could perhaps be using to my benefit. Number 3 of the insights turned into an affirmation and making it less telling. I choose to believe and accept that rather than there being an external magic, a helpful alteration in action or thought in me is more likely to come from my planning, my persistence, my practice, and my patience, especially patience with my precious self, and my humanness as I put in some effort to grow and evolve. Anyone saying that anything in here is easy, if they're saying that, they've obviously never tried it. A notion I might like to entertain is perhaps something is more possible than my wonderful darling brain is telling me at the moment. Thanks, brain. The present, rather than being fixed, I see as an empty canvas on which I might choose to paint a bit of my life. Thanks, HughK. Today I will look at a technique, brush or paint that I might choose to use. This painting is perhaps an action process rather than a passive process. Early in my different life, it might be freedom from. Later in my different life, it might be freedom to. Interesting, JVB, rest in peace. Freedom to do what? Perhaps I might choose to move toward doing a thing in the shorter term, which might make a medium or longer term goal of mine more likely. Maybe I might choose to put effort toward in the shorter term, the now, a thing that matters a bit to me, something I might get helpfully emotional about. Rather than attempt to go back to make a brand new start, perhaps I might choose to start from right now toward a brand new ending. Thanks, Carl. A different life, perhaps more like a building and growing process, like a bit better lived life of mine. A possible definition of what a value might be. A value might be something, a belief, a thing, which I somewhat hold dear, which has some meaning to me, over which I might generate some emotion. Perhaps rather than being important what I believe, it is probably much more important that I believe, perhaps in a potential in me to move in a bit different direction. Thanks again, HughK. A value of mine might be something that has some meaning to me, living and working in accordance with and on. A value of mine might be termed as working with integrity. Rather than a champion being made in the gym, a champion is perhaps made from something I am building deep inside myself. A desire, a dream, a vision, a bit more helpful belief. Thanks, Muhammad Ali. When a value of mine is becoming a bit clearer to me, making a decision might be becoming a bit easier. Thanks, Mr. Disney. What might I value a bit? What could I be a bit passionate about? What document might seek to capture this? Please consider pausing the presentation, just thinking what document might be used for this. Hierarchy of values is, of course, the answer. Everything that I'm mentioning, most things will have links in the description box below. Please consider clicking on that link and maybe exploring that tool if you choose to. Hierarchy of values, HOV. What might you value? Please consider pausing the presentation and jotting down a couple of things or thinking about a couple of things that you might value. In my case, I had health and fitness as combined, health and fitness, but I've since separated them out to health, fitness, emotional independence. There are a few things that are on my list. Once you've done your values list, I commend to you the book by James Clear. The core values list comes from his website. I let a value of mine drive a choice of mine, and also his 2014 integrity report. I commend all those to you, and also reading his book. If you're a salesperson or you've been trained in selling, one of the first things you're told is that reason tells, emotion sells. Reason tells, emotion sells. Once I get a person helpfully emotional, they're much more likely to buy. I may consider picking a value of mine and stating why this is important to me, to perhaps sell myself on it a little bit more deeply, seek to build my emotional commitment to my value. Feature is what it is, benefit is what it does for me. So in selling, the salesperson attempts to take a feature and turn it into a benefit for the prospective client or prospective customer, what it does for me. Example, I value my health and fitness because it enables me to take part in dancing, the social aspect and joy, maybe until I am 90 years old, easy for me to say, 90-year-old plus, at least I'll be able to dance tonight, hopefully. I value my emotional independence because it enables me to stay on a bit more even keel and participate a bit more fully in my life, perhaps form a bit deeper, bit more meaningful friendship. At night before I go to sleep, I might choose to ask, what did I do about a value of mine today? What time might I have scheduled tomorrow to do something about a value of mine? In the morning, I'll maybe wake up and reinforce the process, feel my value a little, get warmly emotional about it, maybe read out the benefit to me of having this particular value. In what way might you be doing this or something like it now? Please consider pausing the presentation and perhaps pondering that question. How often might I be reviewing my hierarchy of values list? Please consider pausing the presentation and maybe considering that. A possible definition of what a goal might be. A goal might be a purpose or an end, the aim, the purpose toward which some effort of mine might be directed. A place I reach from where perhaps I might see to reach a little bit further. A stepping stone for my life direction. Do I want to know who I might become? Rather than ask, I act. My choice of an action better delineates and defines me. Thanks, Thomas Jefferson. My goal might give me a stepping stone on my journey. A value of mine might perhaps give me a clearer direction in which I might choose to move. Possibly a focus for my energy, a purpose for me, and an action. As I pursue a goal of mine, I might choose to be grateful for what I already have. When I'm not grateful for what I already have, what makes me think I might be happy with a bit more? Thanks, Roy T. Apparently, a daily gratefulness practice is seen to increase well-being dramatically and pretty quickly. In what way might I be choosing that my life looks a little more in line with a value of mine? What potential goal might I set up around a value of mine? Rather than looking for a right answer, this is perhaps more of an exploration, a growth and development opportunity. It is very helpful to better know what is important to me, to make a decision a bit more often, to take an action a bit more often, to show what is important to me. Thanks, Malala. When I choose not to attempt to move, I choose not to notice a chain of mine. Wow, thanks, Rosa. Value, belief, goal, act or choice. Maybe starting goal setting small. I might make a list with small stuff as well. Brush my teeth, eat breakfast, dress neatly, make my bed, thanks David Goggins, review my hierarchy of values or benefit cost matrix. What small goal might I set to suggest my progress? Please consider pausing the presentation and maybe looking at what things you could do during the day that you probably do now, but just set them as a regular goal and reward or acknowledge yourself for doing these things. My small deed done is likely better than my great deed only planned. Thanks, Peter Marshall. If I'm too big to do a small thing, then I might stay too small to achieve some big thing. Wow, thanks, participant. If you haven't had a look at the Greater Good in Action website, I commend it to you as being full of really interesting practices that I can start doing to increase my skill level. And this one, in this link's case in the description box below, it's actually goal visualization. I commend it to you as worth having a look at. Maybe I could set a goal of mine based on a value of mine at the start of the week for 13 weeks. If you click on the link below, you'll see a very simple goal setting sheet. Am I leaving or am I going? This link is in the description box below. Leaving versus going. I'm required to leave the house for me to go on holiday. Very little thought of leaving in this case. It's all about where I'm going and making certain I've got everything I need for my holiday. Leaving my unhelpful addictive behaviour, going into a different life, a bit more balanced life, seems to be a lot of thought of and time spent on my leaving. Probably pretty helpful when I have a leaving goal and especially a going goal or going component in my goal. I've been going for so long that I can no longer see where I left from. Thanks, Zircon57. Trust you all very well. Or another way, Ogden Lindsay once noted, a goal a dead person can easily accomplish is probably not that great a goal for a living person. Dead people do not drink, snort, shoot up, or place a bet. Not doing is something all dead people do quite well. They struggle, however, to exercise, especially bike ride. I've seen plenty of zombie movies, but none of the zombies have been riding bicycles. Socialise, attend a meeting and not have people run out screaming, read a handbook, do their hierarchy of values, live a little more into a value of theirs, start a vitally absorbing creative interest, or have any fun at all. I might consider having a go-up goal as well as a give-up goal. A benefit of being straight and sober from my cost-benefit analysis or benefit-cost matrix is probably a go-up living person goal I might choose to build on. Maybe I might start a goal of doing a constructive, personally helpful thing, as well as stopping a thing. Please consider clicking on the progress plan link in the description box below and maybe looking at how to plan to alter a behaviour. Change I might prefer to make. How important might it be to make this change? How confident am I that I might make this change? How might I work on my confidence a little? How might I dispute or dismiss a handbrake or park brake or emergency brake thought of mine a little? A thought that tends to keep me stopped or stuck in place. A person or action that might help me and how it might. I might have an idea my plan is working when. Something that might interfere with my plan might be. What might be a potential solution to this thing that could interfere with my plan? I'm on the lookout for a path of least resistance thought. I might catch it, check it, change it, chop it, or even laugh at it. Oh, good on you, brain. Yeah, that'll help a lot. Unhelpful addictive behaviour might be living a little without a helpful value of mind very much in charge, using an unhelpful emotional thought to take more of a path of immediate relief, a very common human place to find myself. Taking the path of least resistance might be an issue for me at some point, sacrificing at that time by my action, my helpful use of a resource of mine, and a bit of my potentially more helpful life. As said before, a very common human thing for me to find myself doing. Doesn't mean it's inevitable, of course. I'm going to perform exactly as I see myself, said the wonderful Zig Ziglar. Rest in peace. Why might I choose to see myself that way? Why might I choose to see myself in any way? Where might be the possibility of my greater unconditional self-acceptance here? The link is in the description box below. I commend that to you as maybe worth having a read. Why might I choose to see myself that way? Why might I choose to see myself in any way? The unconditional self-acceptance is in the description box below. Also, Kristin Neff, overcoming an objection to self-compassion, and Brene Brown, becoming a bit more one with the wild. letting go of all these self-restricting notions that I have, or at least trying to let go of one. What is or has been your experience in using an affirmation? Which one might you be using now? Please consider pausing the presentation and maybe looking at what affirmation you have used in the past or are using right now. I'm terrific, I'm tremendous is one that I use when I'm public speaking. So before I get up to speak, I roll my toes up in my shoes so no one can see, and I repeat, I'm terrific, I'm tremendous, I'm terrific, I'm tremendous. And I also use diaphragmatic breathing when I'm speaking and before I get up. I commend that to you. What might cause an affirmation of mine to maybe be a bit less helpful than perhaps it could be? Saying I am in an affirmation might not be as helpful, as my mind might reject it as untrue. Perhaps saying I strive to be or I work today toward might be more useful, using an action or doing word. If an affirmation really rubs me up the wrong way, maybe I have a belief that I'm causing to come out into the light. Once it is more in the light, I might choose to question it using an ABC, perhaps in writing. The link is in the description box below to an ABC. If I really, really am struggling, perhaps there's a belief or something I'm saying to myself that is limiting me. ABC crash course, as I said, in the link below. Alternative to an affirmation, I might question myself. Question self-talk is about asking a question. Asking myself might be more powerful than telling myself something when I'm working toward a more helpful result. In what way might I help this thing work better for me? How might I increase the likelihood of a result I'd prefer? This strategy may work better than an affirmation, as it seeks to acknowledge a common human negative thought or feeling of mine and perhaps seek to gently reduce the fight in it, maybe get it to pop out into the light where I can dispute it and perhaps let it go a little bit. Alternative to an affirmation, question myself continued. Eliciting my curiosity and creativity using this method might help reduce a draining inner struggle and introduce the idea to my mind of greater possibility. A question might tend to be helpful as it probes for an answer. It might serve to remind me a little of a resource I might have or one I might build on a little, as it perhaps helps to activate a little of my curiosity. What might be helpful could be a simple tweak. That link is in the description box below. Planning, practice, persistence, and patience. Choosing to look for a bit of progress in me rather than my perfection. I might choose to give an affirmation or a question a try for a number of days I pick in advance. I'll maybe look at my intention for doing it before each time. I'll maybe look to be theatrical as I do it, add emotion to it, maybe do it a number of times until I feel that I'm really starting to believe it. I might simply flush out an unhelpful thought. I might then choose to question how helpful this thought might be and how I might let it go a little bit. Dichotomous thinking, saying and thinking one thing while thinking and doing something different, a very common human thing. If an action of mine seems in conflict with a thought of mine, then possibly somewhere in my belief system, there might be a belief that is preventing my chosen helpful direction. Lifestyle balance may involve improving a little of the harmony between my shorter-term behaviour and my longer-term goal. Core belief, 12 unhelpful ideas. The link is in the description box below. These ideas were seen by psychologists in people who came in who had unhelpful behaviour. Point 8, altered as an affirmation, the idea that I should be thoroughly competent, intelligent, and achieving in all possible respects. Instead, rather than always need to do perfectly now, I support the idea it is perhaps more useful to improve over time. I also choose to accept myself as a quite imperfect creature who likely has a seed of a helpful behaviour mixed with a general human temporary limitation, such as an unhelpful thought and a tendency toward a specific personal fallibility in a behaviour of mine due to an unhelpful decision of mine made through education, training, or experience. all of which I might choose to work on and with over time. A bit better harmony between a more deeply held value, a goal, a belief, and an action of mine. As a Venn diagram intersecting, and there right in the middle, where things could be behaving quite well. I could be actually moving in a direction that I'd really love to be moving in. A great thought of mine speaks only to my thoughtful mind. A new action of mine speaks to all humankind. Thanks, Theodore Roosevelt. Value and goal clarification, link in the description box below. I may choose to identify a goal, which means I am successfully implementing a value a little more in my life, translating a personal value of mine into my intended alteration of a behaviour of mine. Value, what might I choose to put effort toward? How might I want it to look, feel, sound, smell? What I am doing about it. Being emotionally independent, I choose to remain calmer. I choose to stay cooler under a trying circumstance. My life is calmer, more constructive, and my interaction warmer and more helpful. What I'm doing about it, I practice the skill of rational emotive behaviour therapy or training in handling a feeling, particularly one I find challenging, using an ABC, DE. I'm on the lookout for an unhelpful thought of mine. I attempt to act in a helpful way. The purpose of this presentation might be to help me gain a bit more independence from an unhelpful addictive behaviour of mine, and in doing so, assist me to move toward or develop a bit more or create a little more my bit more fulfilling life. How might I have a choice of mine in keeping with a goal of mine, aligned a little more with a more deeply held value of mine, cemented together with a helpful belief of mine? Possibly this could be called me living a little more in harmony. Sounds like a lovely idea. To feel a bit better later, I might do a little bit better now. There's often a bit of a lag between altering a behaviour of mine and my feeling a bit better. There's a bit of discomfort, frustration, uncertainty that I might need to actually move through. I might choose to give myself permission to feel frustrated or uncertain or discomfort during that time. Maybe I might have some time to be quiet as a goal. Happiness might be like a butterfly, which when pursued seems to be beyond my grasp, and which when I sit down quietly at peace may alight upon me. Thanks, Nathaniel. The bit of de-absoluting done there. What might I be doing for my quiet time? Please consider pausing the presentation and maybe looking at what you're doing for your quiet time. People have said in the past, breathing exercise like the one at the start of this presentation, colouring in, meditation, mindfulness, music, immerse myself in it, nature sound, ocean waves, prayer, if that suits me as a person, read a book, walk in nature, yoga. Apparently a walk in nature is exceptionally helpful. I might pick each value of mine and perhaps state why it is important to me. I might choose to sell myself on it a little more deeply. A feature is what it is. The benefit is what the thing that I value does for me. The why, I might choose to value it a little more highly. I might choose to get helpfully emotional about my value. How is the following thinking likely to work? Fireplace, please give me some heat, and then I'll put in some kindling and light a fire. Ground, I know I didn't plant any seed this year, but please just give me a crop, and next year I promise I'll plant the seed. Thanks, Zig, for those two path of least resistance thoughts. Dear Olympic Committee, I've been to the gym once and would therefore like to apply for the position of Olympic athlete. Please forward my outfit and departure date to the address at top of letter. Thanking you in anticipation, HughK, aka Gordon1. P.S. Please send one of each outfit. I'll decide which event on the day. How likely is it that having one try at something might be enough? Maybe in order to alter a behaviour, improve as a person, have a more helpful outcome, it could take a little bit more effort. Would you like me to give you my formula for a different life? It's quite simple, really. I doubled my rate of failure. I was thinking of failure as the enemy of success. It wasn't at all. I might be discouraged by a failure for a time. That'd be a pretty common human thing. And then I might choose to learn from it. Maybe I'll go ahead and make another mistake, make all I can. That is where I might also make a little more of a life I'd rather live. Wow. Thanks, Thomas. My persistent effort rather than my strength or intelligence is perhaps a key to unlocking my potential. Thanks, Winston. When I trust in myself, believe in my dream and follow my star, I'll still get passed by a person who spends their time more wisely, learning a more helpful way to think and taking some more helpful action a bit more often. Wow. Thanks, Terry. I enjoy the feeling of each success, no matter the size of it, and I greet everything else as an opportunity to create a solution rather than as a problem or a failure. My progress is much more a matter of challenging myself a little than it is of my current ability. Rather than planning producing a result, it is maybe action that produces a result. Action is a foundational key to a planned success. Thanks, Pablo. I miss each shot I choose not to take. It is up to me when I am more able to choose to put in some effort to better achieve my goal. Thanks, participant. My goal without my plan is perhaps simply a wish. Thanks, Antone. A better way to predict my future is perhaps to create it. Thanks, Peter. Rather than what I get by reaching my goal, it is possibly more important what I am becoming as I reach for and toward my goal and put effort toward my goal. Thanks, HughK. There is rarely a shortcut to anywhere worth going. I'm not required to be better to start. I am, however, required to start to be better. Do what I can with what I have where I am. Thanks, Ig. Whilst I might not be where I'd prefer to be, at least I'm not where I used to be. Thanks, Unknown. I'm keeping my eyes open for a little more of my progress rather than for any of my perfection. I might expand my perception. There are at least two types of people who might attempt to tell me that I cannot make a difference in my world. A person who is afraid of the discomfort of trying, and B, a person who is afraid I might succeed. Wow. Thanks, Ray. I think I might look for an ally. Success. See my goal a bit more clearly, understand an obstacle a bit more, create a bit clearer positive mental picture, chase away an unhelpful thought kindly, of course. It's not trying to keep me small. It's just trying to keep me safe. Embrace discomfort, frustration, and uncertainty. Yes, please, where possible. Stay a bit closer to my objective. Show a little spark, a little bit more energy, a little bit more emotional power, helpful emotional power. A purpose, Lee Shelton. Fortunate I am indeed, because in this world I find a purpose that defines my day and a goal that fills my mind. I was one of the little ones, not content with where they are, not knowing joy effort can bring, nor skill to go that far. Yet in this world there is a need for a person not at rest to rise above an average life and move forward in a test. I am one who now dares to try when challenged by a task to rise to somewhere I've not been despite my now or past. This is my day, a world to win, a better purpose to achieve. I accept the challenge of my goal and in my choice believe. I now choose what I become, and at the close of my day, I look back on an effort done, content. I chose my way. Thanks, Lee. Congratulations on using your power of choice and taking action to be here. I commend and acknowledge you as a person for attempting to have a different life. These are the resources that we use to create this meeting. They're in the description box below. I commend them to you as something worth having a look at. And most of the quotes, if not all of them, will be in the description box in this particular link that's in the description box below. If someone tells me the thing in this presentation is easy, it means they have obviously not tried to do it, as I said before. A thing that I might like to entertain or consider is that a thing in here is perhaps a little bit more possible than my wonderful darling brain is telling me at the moment. Thanks, brain. Whatever I can manage to do at this particular time is wonderfully okay. I'm at the coalface. I'm doing the work. If it's possible for me to do something, I can do it. If it's not possible for me at this time, I'll attempt to grow and develop. If I got a bit from the meeting, perhaps I'll give a bit. If a light came on for me a bit, perhaps I'll pay some of the light bill. Please consider donating a little to whoever or whatever helps you a little. In this case, I'd please ask you to click on the donate link in the description box below and drop a little bit of money into the Greater Good in Action website. They've got a lot of skills and tools and things there that I can use to grow and develop. I commend that website to you and the Greater Good in Action blog to actually develop your skill set. That brings me to the end of the meeting. I do congratulate and commend you for being here. It's potentially helpful and it doesn't look all that powerless to me. Thanks, brain. In any event, I'm sorry I won't get to meet you, and I do wish for you the very best that you can manage to do.